The Chinese have accomplished an incredible feat. They've just built a gigantic sanctuary of marine life that rivals something Jules Verne could have dreamed up. A glass, steel, and concrete structure big enough to hold 50 million liters of water and tens of thousands of sea creatures. Ocean Kingdom is the largest aquarium in the world and has just opened up on the island of Hengqin in southern China. Nothing else on Earth can compare to it in terms of architectural scale, technological challenge, the amount of marine species on display, or the estimated number of visitors. This mind-boggling project elicits many questions. Whose idea was it? How was it built? And what will this Great Wall of Glass symbolize for people? Zhuhai, a simple fishing village near Macau that has become one of the most dynamic cities in China in merely a few decades' time. Like its sister city Hong Kong, Zhuhai is a special economy zone and now linked to the island of Hengqin. As part of an ambitious development program, Hengqin has just built an oversized theme park that is home to the most incredible aquarium ever designed. This artificial realm, an underwater Noah's Ark, is the brainchild of an extremely low-profile Chinese billionaire. To carry out this colossal construction project, with an estimated cost of almost $5 billion, the billionaire flew in talented specialists from all four corners of the globe. They rose to meet what many considered impossible challenges to build an indoor ocean as disproportionately huge as the Great Wall of China. "20,000 Chinese workers toiled away for 3 years to construct Ocean Kingdom. They had to face all the challenges stemming from the enormous size of the project, but it was the main aquarium, with a water capacity equivalent to 12 Olympic pools, that presented the most technical problems. They had to erect the largest and thickest glass wall ever made, and even more impressive, install an enormous 12-meter diameter translucent dome at the bottom of the aquarium. The park project is much more than the giant aquarium, though. 7 other themed tanks were built on the site, as well as one of the largest hotels in China. Ocean Kingdom also contains an amusement park and a circus. The Chinese billionaire bargained on excess to attract millions of tourists. He wanted a 66-meter tall whale shark as the emblem of Ocean Kingdom, and he got it. Nevertheless, the ultimate challenge doesn't fall to engineers, but to marine biologists. How to transport colossal creatures weighing several tons and introduce them unharmed into the aquariums. 30,000 fish and marine mammals in all will be brought into Ocean Kingdom. It will be a Herculean task to take care of all these creatures, even more so since the theme park plans to offer its thrill-seeking public the most amazing oceanic show the world has ever seen. Well, if everyone agrees. Since work began on the future ocean park 18 months ago, all the buildings have gone up. Still, the Grand Aquarium is a long ways away from being operational. For now, it's still nothing but a dry ocean. The process of calibrating the acrylic walls to resist the inner pressure is underway. The millions of liters of salt water won't exert the same pressure at the bottom of the walls as at the top. The walls must be curved in keeping with the parameters calculated by the engineers. Same thing for the Great Dome. The forces at play won't allow for even a millimeter of torque, and the teams working around the perimeter have to synchronize their work to the exact same rhythm. The dome will single-handedly support a volume of water weighing 1,000 tons. A watertight seal between the various elements of acrylic glass and the concrete frame is another area of concern. A high-quality resin, non-toxic in contact with water, is used. The success of the entire project depends on its ability to resist under high pressure. Particular care is also needed in applying the protective coating to the bare concrete on the bottom and base of the aquarium. Kilometers of fiberglass are glued down, then covered with a water-repellent coating and primer. All they have to do now is paint it. The workers that welded the acrylic walls eliminate each little imperfection, and the protective coating is removed from the Great Dome to reveal its original luster. The final touch, a layer of ocean blue to complete the illusion.
This aquarium is so big we can't see everything. I can't be sure that every single spot has been inspected. It's annoying. We check once, we check again. We can do it over and over again. It's our responsibility to make sure that there are no leaks.
Ricky Kong has 1,000 reasons to feel anxious. Filling the aquarium with water will be a decisive moment. 31 million liters of water will pour in at the rate of 450 cubic meters per hour. It will take 3 days to fill the tank. In theory, it could go quicker. The pumps can handle 1,000 cubic meters per hour, but that would deplete the island's drinking water. So they're stopped during the hours water is needed for daily activities. Besides checking for leaks, this trial run will test the resistance of the tank's glass walls. As the pressure increases, the level must be stabilized to carry out controls. At this stage, everything's fine. But the pressure is going to rise to 80 tons per square meter once the aquarium is completely filled. On the surface, there seems no cause for concern. But what's the story down below? The watertight coating has had time to dry. Apparently, there's no seepage. However, between the edge of the tunnel and its concrete base, Ricky Kong spots a large leak. It's worrisome, and they must now inspect the foundations of the aquarium. The entire team heads down to the basement to check things out. Nothing is left to chance. The retaining walls show only a few tiny traces of dampness. Now they have to figure out where the big leak in the wall is coming from, and there's only one way to do it. A diver must enter the labyrinth of glass and concrete where the engineers will guide him slowly along. They use colored dye to locate the exact spot of the fissure. Even if it's tiny, the wall will have to be demolished and rebuilt.
There are lots of problems like this inside. Don't get me started. There are so many holes to plug in this aquarium. But that's not really much of a surprise in this particular case.
There seem to be a few problems outside as well. A heavy leak was quickly plugged and mended. But that's nothing compared to the geysers spewing from 2 of the water pumps. For Ricky Kong and the engineers, this initial test is irksome but far from catastrophic. They're going to have to drain the tank and take certain precautions as they do so.
The walls are pushed by the water pressure. When the water drains out, it suddenly removes the pressure. That can make the walls lean in and fall. Action, reaction. We can't drain the water out all at once. We have to do it very slowly. We let out a little bit, stop, check.
It will take 20 hours to drain the water. Once the tank is repaired, it will be filled once more for a second test. Most of the Chinese trainers hired by Ocean Kingdom are going to have to present the shows once the marine mammals are ready to perform. Almost all of these young men and women are novices, so it's important they learn how to be at ease in the water. They'll need to accompany the naturally graceful movements of the small white whales and other large dolphins. They must learn to imitate them completely, and also how to try to behave like pinnipeds. Because, like the dolphins and belugas, the sea lions, walruses, and seals will have their own water theater with a seating capacity of 4,000 devoted to their own shows. Swimming is the main form of locomotion for these marine mammals. But that's not the case for land-dwelling bipedal mammals. They need to learn, and at Ocean Kingdom, it's indispensable they do so. Everything happens poolside or in the water. For the animal trainers and keepers, and especially for those who are going to participate in the water shows, it goes without saying that they must one day hold their own with the dolphins. Frenchman Julien, manager of animal training at Ocean Kingdom, will see to it.
Another thing that became very important during the 90s was the animal welfare.
Julien has worked in Europe's main water parks and is constantly sharing his wealth of knowledge and experience.
What the animals needed.
He knows they've got a long road ahead, but for the most part his students are attentive, especially Mei, a particularly talented young Chinese trainer. Part of their training involves learning to dive, and that means the animal trainers need to know what to do if something goes wrong. Artificial respiration and CPR are part of their curriculum. The young team of trainers has made notable progress. The management team that will put together the water shows with the trainers and sea mammals have every reason to be pleased.
Yeah, this is great. It looks very nice, and I think what's very important is that it teaches also everybody to be coordinated together. And what I've seen now is that it teaches them also to really pay attention to the music.
Mei and all her young colleagues are growing more comfortable in their new environment. Once they've learned, underwater diving is the best way to understand the behavior of the animals they'll be in charge of. The more at ease they are in the water, the more the sea creatures will trust them.
The dolphins and white whales are like children. They're very friendly with humans and happy to play with them. I feel happy and peaceful when I'm surrounded by all these sea animals. I feel like a different person who can leave the chaos of the exterior world behind.
So there was the statue of the whale shark and Walrus Mountain. The only thing missing was the giant manta ray. It adorns the front of the huge tunnel that will be the entrance to the park. Down below the vault that is still being completed, hundreds of digital screens are about to be linked up. Here, video technicians are working on yet another challenge, creating an ocean of virtual images. The LED screens are positioned in entire racks in the upper part of the tunnel. It's one big electronic IT brain teaser. But even prior to this stage, the manta ray's wings were designed with the skill and know-how worthy of a shipyard. Carpenters built a 33-meter-long structure out of wood and fiberglass, but the real trouble was how to give it such a special shape while keeping it rigid. Once completed, it was mounted at the opening of the 71-meter-long tunnel where Ocean Images will display a magical show. And it works. A few final touches, and soon all the creatures of the sea will be swimming across the heavenly vault that leads to Ocean Kingdom. The Chinese billionaire was right. Every dream can come true. All you need is a little determination. In the Grand Aquarium, all the fissures have been filled, but these leak issues have put the construction several months behind schedule. Now it's time to turn to the decor. An ocean setting must be reproduced as accurately as possible. Imitating nature is not always easy, and countless foreign decorators and designers come to share their thoughts with the Chinese managers. Everyone had a different opinion. Nevertheless, with the help of a permanent team of interpreters, a consensus was reached for decorating the aquarium floor without too much interference with the vital systems.
Look, this is poor workmanship. The aeration holes are half clogged.
The plaster ran.
Check all the others.
I will, but I don't have all the drawings.
They're just minor glitches, but they add up over time, hence the cascade of delays.
It was supposed to be finished the 22nd, and it's already the 21st.
No, it's supposed to be for the 23rd.
So now we change. We change to make sure no more piping clogged. Sorry, but you know, it's a little bit difficult.
Overall, Jonan, the head designer, can be pleased with the result. With its coral reefs and vivid sea fans, the underwater decor looks like Nemo's world. Not the captain, but the other one. It's what they wanted. Ocean Kingdom needs to be colorful. Now that the aquarium decor is completed, all that's missing is the water. Not the island's groundwater, but real water from the ocean. To fetch it, a former oil tanker has been transformed into a floating cistern. It can contain several thousand liters of seawater. The ship's tanks have been completely sanitized. Repainted and covered with a neutral coating, they guarantee the vessel's precious liquid cargo won't become polluted in any way. "40 nautical miles offshore, the biologists test the quality of the water. At this distance from the coast and 10 meters deep, there is little risk the seawater is polluted. Nevertheless, the water undergoes strict testing. Everything's perfect. Let the pumping begin. With the diameter of the pipes and the power of the pumps, it'll take a full day to fill the tanks. And this journey won't be the last. It'll take several trips to meet all the aquarium's needs. The Grand Aquarium enjoys its final hours bathed in sunlight. The seawater will soften its flashy color scheme. Outside, workers clean tons of tiny corals that will be spread over the floor of the aquarium. They'll cover the flat parts between the various elements of the decor. The water has reached its level. When it comes to imprisoning an ocean, one last inspection doesn't hurt. The bags of gravel are carefully submerged and emptied in specific spots. Divers take the relay to painstakingly spread out this final touch. At the same time, sea salt is added to Ocean Kingdom's various aquariums.
The salt was extracted from the shores of the Red Sea in Israel, from very pure water. We've already added over 700 tons of salt, and we hope to add it all in the next few days. We must attain the specific standards corresponding to all the species of fish.
Once the salt is dissolved, salinity will be checked to see if it's the same as the ocean. 40 grams of sodium chloride per cubic decimeter. That being said, checking the quality of the water in the aquariums doesn't simply stop here. Sand filters need to retain impurities and constantly recycle the water. What's more, a complex system fights against toxic agents, conserves the bacterial balance, and maintains levels of nitrate and ozone.
The level of the ozone has to be very, very carefully monitored. Too little ozone, it doesn't do anything. Too much ozone, it's poison. And they have to have that balance before they risk putting in the really big, special fish and so forth. So, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to sort that out.
Not too much time, though, because the big fish are on their way. The first ones come from a culture located in the Pacific Ocean. They were taken out to the deep sea to facilitate their transfer. We're talking about several giant manta rays. To fetch these enormous creatures, with a wingspan of 3 meters and weighing 1 ton, an entire expedition was dispatched to distant islands far south of China. After an uneventful journey, the men and gear arrive at their destination. Operation Manta Ray can now begin. The manta rays are hoisted to the surface with the help of local fishermen. They know the creatures well and offer precious advice.
You have to grab the ray's mouth with your hands and pull it. That's all. You don't need to catch it any other way.
Easier said than done. But these devilfish don't deserve their nickname. They're completely harmless to humans. First one, then another ray are hoisted into the bins on the trucks. Bottles of oxygen are on hand in case of any life-threatening problems. In fact, from an evolutionary standpoint, these cartilaginous fish are flat sharks, and like sharks, they must constantly keep moving in order to oxygenate their gills, which can't happen in a few cubic meters of water, so they need to reach Ocean Kingdom quickly.
It's very tight in terms of timing. With the sea journey and flight, it'll take about 12 hours total to reach the water park.
That is, if everything goes smoothly. And it looks like they're off to a bad start. The expedition loses a few precious hours on a stormy sea. So now they really need to get moving. A Russian cargo plane has been chartered to fly the rays to Macau. Although it's a pretty short flight, it's extremely tense. The cargo is greeted by worried expressions. What state will the creatures be in? The rays seem to have tolerated the trip quite well. Still, they'll be much more comfortable in the Grand Aquarium, where they'll soon be joined by whale sharks. Zhang Delu can breathe a sigh of relief. The indoor ocean finally boasts its first prestigious guests. Now, it just needs to be populated. Compared to the rays, the aquarium's new guests are just small fry. But they nevertheless represent hundreds of species of fish, just as rare as they are difficult to obtain.
We're a little anxious with all the fish that are still supposed to come. We've already got between 3,500 and 4,000. Just today we received about 2,500. In the end, we'll have around 20,000 fish. There's still one big challenge though. When the deep sea fish arrive, we're going to have to make sure the water purification systems can meet their goals. For the most prized fish, we'll have to wait a little while still. Now isn't the time. We need to wait another 5 or 6 days.
Getting 20 million fish to live together in the same aquarium is no easy task. Besides problems of compatibility in terms of the food chain, the entire water regeneration system must be in perfect operation. This requires multiple tests each time fish are added to the aquarium. An ocean isn't built in a day. The arrival of the green sea turtles, 200-kilogram sea reptiles, is a great opportunity for an insider's tour of the aquarium. Green turtles are champions at holding their breath and can remain underwater for hours at a time. But they come to the surface to feed. And they aren't alone, which is actually a real problem that Ocean Kingdom's biologists need to solve. The small surface-dwelling fish tend to gobble up all the food tossed into the aquarium, leaving nothing for bottom-dwelling fish or those that live in the intermediary zones. Solutions need to be found, such as spoon-feeding the rays, which they seem to have no problem with. To feed the fish at the bottom, which are bigger than the surface dwellers, the divers must wear steel mesh gloves. It's a wise safety measure, since some of the more skittish fish could easily bite the hand that feeds them. And even wiser, since several species of sharks now haunt the aquarium amid schools of other famished creatures. Feeding them builds the creatures' trust. They'll be that much easier to approach when they need to be treated and cared for. As the divers head back up to the surface, they disappear in a swirl of insatiable small tropical fish. These creatures aren't sorry to live in an aquarium. There are always some leftovers to nibble. The theme park now contains a number of specimens from the animal world, but the same can't be said when it comes to the vegetation. The time has come to transform the concrete worksite into a tropical garden. Dozens of gardeners attempt to make the park look more welcoming. It's been almost 3 years since the first stone was laid. Everything seems to be gathering momentum now. The various animals have almost completed their training for the different aquatic shows. Julian can finally take stock of what Ocean Kingdom represents for him.
I've worked in most of the best marine parks in the world. And I think that I'm here now in probably the best marine park in China and something that could be one of the best parks in the world.
The long months of hard work have paid off. All the Chinese trainers have become real pros, even if they had to work up quite a sweat to do so. As for the marine mammals, they don't seem too unhappy with their lot. While the water shows seem to be coming together under the best auspices, it's now time to perfect the choreography that's going to go with them. Every element of the performance matters. Ballet masters from around the world have taken charge of the training, which occasionally leads to surprising results, especially when a former principal dancer from New York calls the shots.
One at a time. After trick, each girl does one trick, style on the side. I'm great. Or she can go, your turn, and it's the next girl, so it takes a little bit longer. Good. Good. Yes, we're getting there.
Outside, the theme park entertainment is also being prepared. It's going to be breathtaking.
So the very best flyboarder, the very best jet ski rider, and we take them from many, 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 many countries. So we have the best show in the world.
Yeah! I'll just pop my shoulder on that one.
Hello, I'm Alex. I'm a professional flyboarder and I love Chinese Kung Fu.
So we want to make it a really good show today. We want to do lots of really big arm waving right in the air because there's lots of people in the park today. Hey, arms in, everyone. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
The island of Henkin is located in a zone that Pacific typhoons are very fond of. The one on its way is force 4 or 5. All the personnel head for shelter, since winds could reach speeds over 200 kilometers per hour. The sea will rise, and waves could wash over the park. The wind is picking up. It will take several hours for the storm to pass over the island. Everyone heads uphill for refuge. Now the only thing to do is wait. The next morning, devastation. Ocean Kingdom is flooded. All the landscaping needs to be redone. Another delay. For the marine biologist in charge of the aquarium, the big day approaches. Zhang Dulu gives a detailed presentation of what lies ahead, fetching and transporting a whale shark. The tension is palpable on everyone's faces. These men know it isn't going to be easy, even though everything seems to be perfectly prepared. After all, it's a question of transporting the biggest fish in the world. An exceptional creature deserves an exceptional convoy. The South China Sea is where they are headed to fetch the monster. Each year, fishermen capture whale sharks that end up on people's plates. The biologists at Ocean Kingdom hope to save a few so humans can enjoy the splendor of these sea creatures. Once there, a huge floating container is lowered into the sea. It can hold close to 20,000 liters of water, plus the shark, of course. They'll have to spend the night out at sea to reach the spot where the shark is found. The people in charge are growing anxious.
All fish considered, transporting a whale shark is the most complicated. It's so huge that it's hard to get it out of the water. During the entire operation, we have to test the water oxygenation. The shark needs to spend as little time as possible in the container. There's no room for error.
The tractor boat arrives in the morning. The fishermen have captured a whale shark and are holding it in a large enclosure.
You need to attach both sides.
The divers are in the water. They're going to help wrangle the huge creature into the net that will bring it up to the surface.
Gently, they're going to pull you.
The operation goes without a hitch. The whale shark seems docile. It's true, it's more whale than shark. But getting the 7-meter-long whale shark to swim into the opening of the floating container is a little more complicated. The creature has no reason to want to go in there on its own. And several tons aren't easy to push, even in the water. And that's that. The whale shark is finally imprisoned in the container. The whole team breathes a sigh of relief. The huge statue that is the water park's emblem was not built for naught. Its live alter ego is now on its way to Ocean Kingdom. Other whale sharks will join it, but not until later.
Get the crane started.
40 people have been rallied for the operation, but not one too many. Experience has shown that the best guarantee of the animal's survival is how fast each phase can be completed.
You can go.
But it's not over yet. Whale sharks are fished without much care, like prey to be sold and eaten. At this point, it's still hard to know whether any of its internal organs have been damaged. The biologists will have to survey the state of the whale shark throughout the entire transfer to the water park, and mainly hurry to get it there safe and sound. Mission almost accomplished for Zhang Dilu, Assistant Director of Ocean Kingdom.
This is a very rare experience. Even if it's hard and demanding, no one feels tired. We haven't slept for 2 days straight, but we're totally into it. A lot of people might think capturing these animals goes against what's good for them. But for our country, it's a way of protecting them. It's incredible to be able to fetch a whale shark. With all the care we're giving to these fish, I hope the return trip goes smoothly.
Arriving at the aquarium in time is only the first step. Now the whale shark must quickly be placed in its tank. It's the same operation, but in reverse this time, pushing the whale shark out of the container. No one knows how it's going to react. The biologists observe the shark's behavior closely. It's obviously not as intelligent as a beluga, but its instinct should nevertheless allow it to find its way in its new environment. At last, the whale shark is in the huge volume of water of the main aquarium, which should allow it to snap out of its lethargic state. Up on the surface, everyone's apprehensive. The animal slowly floats down toward the clusters of fake coral. It doesn't have its bearings yet, and seems to be bumping into everything in its path. The divers must quickly intervene to guide it through the labyrinth of reconstructed ocean. At poolside, the managers confer to come up with a solution. A huge net is spread out to protect the whale shark from the obstacles that are unsettling it. The giant creature must be confined to the flat area at the bottom of the aquarium, separated from the other large fish. It's not used to being in such company. The entire diving team gets to work. They need to act quickly before the shark seriously injures itself. The divers manage to push hard enough on its body to guide it toward the flat area of the Grand Aquarium. But even all together, they're unable to move such a massive animal. They have to encourage the shark to do its part. There, the shark has entered the safe zone. But the diver's job isn't over yet. Even this part of the aquarium contains elements of the underwater decor. The whale shark will have to be guided for several days until it can get its bearings and maneuver on its own. A second team of divers is ready. It's time to take the relay from those who've helped make this delicate operation a success. Zhang Delu can breathe a sigh of relief. Ocean Kingdom finally has its biggest star. And he appears to be in fine form. A few hundred meters from the Grand Aquarium, in the area of the park devoted to the polar realm, all the guests have arrived. There are razorbills from the northern hemisphere and penguins from the southern hemisphere. A perfectly reconstructed set imitating a patch of ice field allows them to think they're at the poles. Well, almost. Even if weather conditions are ideal, they can't find food on their own. No fish live in the water of their tank. On the other hand, seals, walruses, and sea lions frolic or else rehearse, because the polar zone is also a theater for water shows. Theater. Just like this building that houses a large glass tank, playground of the mischievous belugas.
It's still in the training because they're not completely comfortable with the windows. So it's nice, yeah, but it's still very new.
Julian is also in charge of organizing the performance in a third location, the Great Dolphinarium. The dolphins swim as his Dutch girlfriend F looks on. She's in charge of this show.
Worked very hard to come to this point, to show off what we can and what we've done. So yeah, there's an excitement. Hopefully everything will go well. And as I said before, we had a very short time, so not all the animals are completely ready for such a big show.
Over in the amusement park area, all the attractions are inspected and re-inspected to guarantee the safety of future riders. Each amusement ride, each dark ride, is tested in real conditions. And then some. The Grand Aquarium, home of the whale shark and Ocean Kingdom's key attraction, is getting one last inspection and a few finishing touches. Everything has to be perfect for the grand opening to the public. This is the moment everyone's waited so long for. 18 months of various imponderables that today have all been swept away. Night has fallen on Henkin Island. Belugas never sleep. But tonight, they're not alone. Tomorrow, for thousands of engineers and workers, and for Ah Mei, the Chinese trainer, an entire oceanic world will finally awaken. March 29, 2014, 3 years after the first bulldozer broke ground, the park can officially open its doors.
Yeah, ready?
At 9 a.m., several thousand visitors already flock to the entrance of the park. Right off the bat, they discover the wonder of a marine world unknown to the majority of them. 90% of China's population lives inland and has never seen the sea. Disneyland isn't far, but whether in Europe or the United States, the notion of family fun is the same. Why would it be any different in the Middle Kingdom? The Chimelong Group wanted to give visitors a feast for the eyes, and they did. Let the water show begin. Whether outdoors or inside the pools of the various theaters, there's no holding back. All the trainers, those who just 2 years ago had never even laid eyes on a marine mammal, offer the public a performance worthy of the best dolphinariums in the world. The animals seem pleased with their lot, and the thousands of spectators aren't denying themselves the pleasure. The much-anticipated success is there. Chimelong was hoping for 20 million visitors a year, and there's a very good chance they'll get them. Straight away, Ocean Kingdom has already received several international awards, including 5 Guinness World Records and the highly coveted Theo Award for Artistic Innovation. Nevertheless, all of Ocean Kingdom's attractions are just the garnishes embellishing the marine sanctuary of its giant aquarium. Are the 30,000 fish on display as big of a hit with the crowds? Sure looks that way. The Chinese billionaire and Chimelong Group might not be philanthropists, but they are enlightened visionaries. They invested almost $5 billion in the creation of an indoor ocean that has no rival anywhere in the world. A place where Chinese and international visitors from around the world can marvel as they learn more about the world of the ocean and how to respect it.